Hello and welcome to another KB Michelle Green podcast. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. This podcast is sponsored by Kingdom Builders Credit Repair, Kingdom Builders Business University, and Kingdom Builders Community Development Corporation. Welcome. So today's subject, or tonight, whenever you're watching this or listening in, tonight's subject is about the cycles. So previously I discussed some cycles, some changes, the season of spring. And spring is a season where we blossom into new births. We blossom into new things. We blossom into, things that have died out throughout the winter and actually come into fruition for the spring. So it's like a rejuvenation. It's like a rebirth. It's like a whole new season of what was. Now all of the dead things have been shedded, and we have this new beautiful opportunity in life. And it shows all around us. The trees, they blossom with the green leaves, or whatever color leaves that they have for that tree. The plants, the flowers, they blossom with beautiful petals, with beautiful stems. We have the grass that is turning colors. It's green and it's vibrant. And everything around us, the insects, the birds, the animals, everything around us is actually blossoming. We have a whole new generation of babies coming into a new season, a new cycle of life. And it also happens in our personal life that we change, that we grow, that we go through this cycle of blossoming, of something new that's never been seen, that's never been heard, and it hasn't been in anybody's subconscious mind before, that we see this change, we see this new thing, and sometimes it scares us. It scares us to the degree that we kind of freak out. Well, I was talking last time on the podcast about this isolation. And I wanted to talk about tonight, whenever you're listening in, I wanted to talk about the fact that even though we have these moments where we do feel like we are isolated, and we're isolated into a space where people don't really understand, even our closest family members, even our closest friends, even, our associates or mentors and mentees, they just don't get it. They don't get us. And it's okay. I think that, God has a time in every individual's life where they go through a season where they have to just do Him and themselves. And that's it. It's just you and God. The Holy Spirit, is there with you at all times, but He is there and you are just doing life with Him. But I want you guys to know, I want to just say that is a season of also change. It's a season where it's new. It's something maybe that you never experienced before. It's a season where maybe you never heard anybody talking about the ideas and the different things that are going through your mind, like myself. Or maybe you have encountered someone speaking on it before. Maybe it was a seed that was planted inside of your thought process, but at the same time, it just wasn't watered. It wasn't cultivated. It wasn't something that grew any further than just that mere thought. But when we think about going back to that seed, it was always a seed. It was something that was always meant to grow. It was something that was always meant for change. And when we think about that change, We cannot be afraid of the change. We have to understand that all throughout our lives, there are going to be different seasons. There are going to be different cycles, and there will be change. And how do we handle that change? How do we handle that isolation period? Well, the number one thing that I have learned, because I've been through this quite some time, since I was in my teens, I've always experienced a cycle or a season, like a 3-month period of time where I go through this big growth spurt, this big change in my life where I have to adjust, I have to adapt to something that's different or something that's just, it may be similar to what was, but it's not exactly the same thing. Okay. And so what I have come to realize is that in that season of isolation, when you are all alone, when you are by yourself, when there is nobody who gets you, when there is nobody that understands but God what you are dealing with, what you're going through, then we just need to be still. We need to be still and know that He is God. And that is our only requirement. So if you're going through the same thing that I went through from the last podcast, which was actually over the last 2-week period of time, the main thing to focus on is just being still and listening, hearing what it is from God, what it is that He wants you to do next, and still being patient with yourself in that being still. You cannot rush it. You cannot just force it to happen. It's something new. You don't know what that newness is. You don't know the full instruction of it yet. So just be still and wait. Be still and wait. Be patient with yourself. The same way that you've been patient with everybody else. How many times have people told you to wait? How many times have people told you, okay, not right now, but just give me a little bit and I can take care of that for you? How many times have we gone through that type of situation with other people where we had to wait, or maybe we even told them to wait? That's what we have to do for ourselves, because guess what? We are worth it. Hello and welcome to KB Michelle Green, KB meaning Kingdom Builders Enterprise. Welcome to my podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope that you enjoy. Isolation. So previously, I was speaking about isolation and the fact that there are so many people who go through challenges in their life where they feel isolated, pushed into a corner where nobody actually understands them, where nobody actually follows the true path of what the person is really thinking and feeling at all times, except God. And that God takes us into this stage of isolation where it's almost like we're going through what they call a sabbatical in the church world, and this place where we're just alone, where it's not that we're necessarily lonely, because lonely means that, that could be a stage of depression, but just that we are alone. And being alone is a place where we are beginning to cultivate a new idea, something that's brand new, like spring, like blossoming into a new season, a new beginning. And that is the season that I am coming out of right now. Now, whether or not you know me, or you've been listening to this podcast, or you've been following along, this is still something that you can apply in any part of your life. And what that is the fact that when we are in this isolation stage, nobody really talks to us about being there, and nobody really talks to us about how to come out of the isolation stage. This period of time where we're being cultivated, almost like a worm turning into a butterfly, caterpillar into a butterfly. Almost like, some type of transitioning into a new creature that we don't know anything about. We don't have any familiarity of what we're about to become. That is the stage of isolation. It's where it's just you and God. And so in the stage, one of the things that I have been experiencing in the past and even currently is that I have to continue to feed my spirit with things that are positive, with things that are right, with things that are beautiful and lovely. I have to keep my mind focused on the right kind of things, because in the isolation stage, it's just such a very vulnerable place. And that vulnerable place could allow you to go down this deep, dark path that maybe you won't even be able to pull yourself out of if you go too deeply. That's not to say that we can't have our feelings. It's not to say that we can't be validated. It's not to say that we can't actually have the experiences of being down and out and feeling lonely or whatever it is that we feel by being alone. It just means that feel your feelings, think your thoughts. But at the end of it all, at the end of each day, just make sure that you find something to be grateful for. Something that allows you the contentment of being satisfied, of being you, being patient with yourself, being able to take that time as you would with another individual, as you would with a pet, as you would with a friend, as you would with a parent or a child, as you would with a spouse, as you would with anyone or anything else in this world. You allow grace, you allow patience for everyone and everything else, but you gotta allow patience. You gotta allow grace for yourself. You gotta allow mercy for yourself. So in this isolation stage, as you're waiting to come out, feel the feelings, think the thoughts, but at the end of each day, make sure that you find some type of gratitude. Make sure that you find something that allows you to sit in where you are, but that gives you just a little hint of sunshine, just a little ounce, a little drop of what is right, and that you are going to be okay.